Imagine you're lying on your soft mattress at home, ready to drift off to sleep, when an annoying buzzing sound penetrates the walls and windows, pounding on your eardrums. This isn't your pesky neighbor doing renovations at night. It's the Shahed-136, a kamikaze drone renowned for its cost effectiveness. Its cost is equivalent to an upgraded SUV parked on the street, but intercepting it requires a $1 million Patriot missile.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, at first glance, the Shahed-136 doesn't look terrifying. In fact, compared to sleek stealth fighters or futuristic cruise missiles, this thing looks surprisingly simple. It has a delta wing design, a small piston engine, and a rear propeller that produces a loud buzzing sound many soldiers compare to a flying lawnmower. But here's the scary part. That simplicity is exactly why it's dangerous. The Shahed-136 is essentially a long-range loitering munition, basically a kamikaze drone with GPS guidance. Unlike traditional drones that return home after reconnaissance missions, the Shahed is basically a flying one-way ticket. Once launched, it flies directly toward its target and detonates on impact.
Reports estimate the drone may cost somewhere between $30,000 and $80,000 to produce. Now compare that to the missiles often used to intercept it. Advanced surface-to-air interceptors can cost anywhere from $1 to several million dollars per shot. Think about how absurd that is for a second. Even when the defender successfully shoots the drone down, they still lose money. A lot of money. That's one of the biggest reasons military analysts around the world started paying close attention to it during the Russia-Ukraine war. Because suddenly, advanced Western air defense systems found themselves trapped in a nightmare scenario. Cheap drones arriving in large numbers, day after day, forcing defenders to burn through expensive missiles continuously. And unlike blockbuster Hollywood movies, real militaries cannot magically reload infinite ammunition between scenes. And that's where the Shahed-136 becomes extremely dangerous. Its destructive capability is also far more serious than many people initially assumed. The file notes that the drone carries an explosive warhead weighing roughly 30 to 50 kilograms. That may not sound massive compared to large ballistic missiles, but it's more than enough to heavily damage fuel depots, electrical substations, warehouses, radar systems, and civilian infrastructure. That's exactly why the Shahed-136 became such a headache in Ukraine. According to the report, Russia has launched massive numbers of Shahed-type drones against Ukrainian energy and infrastructure targets since 2022. Even when interception rates were relatively high, some drones still penetrated defenses simply because the attacks came in waves.
And that is another key advantage of the Shahed system: swarm tactics. One Shahed drone is dangerous. 50 Shahed drones? That becomes an entirely different problem. This is somewhat like a DDoS attack. In cyber warfare, attackers overwhelm a server with huge amounts of traffic until the system struggles to respond. The Shahed uses a similar philosophy in physical warfare. Instead of relying on one expensive precision missile, attackers flood the airspace with large numbers of cheap drones. Even if defenders destroy 80 or 90% of them, eventually, some still get through. In fact, one of the Shahed-136's most underrated weapons is fear itself. Because unlike supersonic missiles that arrive suddenly, the Shahed's noisy engine creates prolonged psychological tension. Civilians often hear the buzzing sound approaching long before impact. That creates stress, exhaustion, panic, and emotional burnout over time. Modern warfare isn't just about destroying buildings anymore. It's also about exhausting society psychologically. And cheap drones are surprisingly effective at that. And America's adversaries are paying very close attention to this lesson. The Shahed-136 has demonstrated that modern asymmetric warfare no longer requires matching the United States tank for tank or jet for jet. Instead, weaker powers can exploit cost imbalance. Cheap drones, cheap missiles, cheap saturation attacks. all designed to force stronger militaries into expensive defensive responses. It's basically the military version of forcing a heavyweight boxer to spend millions of dollars defending against endless waves of mosquitoes. The mosquitoes may not individually win the fight, but eventually the boxer becomes exhausted. That's why the Shahed-136 matters so much strategically. It represents a shift away from traditional battlefield thinking and toward industrialized attrition warfare, powered by cheap autonomous systems. And honestly, this may only be the beginning. In modern conflict, being stronger is no longer enough. Now, you also have to survive being exhausted. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up, share it with anyone interested in defense and geopolitics, and let me know what weapon system you want me to cover next. As always, thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.